There comes a moment in your life where something inside you quietly whispers, "You're done." Not in a defeated way, not in exhaustion, but in completion. It feels strange at first. You wake up and the things that once defined your daily routine suddenly feel distant, almost irrelevant. The job, the grind, the endless cycle of doing it no longer holds the same weight. And you begin to question, why? You're not lazy. You're not lost. In fact, this feeling is often the beginning of something deeper. Many chosen ones experience this shift, not as an escape from work, but as a transformation of purpose. What once felt like survival now feels like a chapter that has already closed. You're not abandoning your life, you're evolving beyond it. Think about it. Have you ever felt like you're moving through your day, but your soul is somewhere else entirely? Like your body is present, but your spirit has already checked out of this old version of reality. That's not burnout. That's alignment trying to take over. If this resonates, pause for a second. Drop a comment and say, "I feel the shift." Let others know they're not alone in this moment. And if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe to Mirror of the Soul, because what you're experiencing, it's not random. It's a message. And here's the real question. What if you're not meant to keep working the same way anymore? What if something greater is waiting for you to finally let go? From the moment you were born, the world started shaping you. Go to school, get a job, work hard, retire someday. That was the blueprint handed to you without question. But deep down, something in you always resisted it, didn't it? Chosen ones often feel like outsiders in this system, not because they're incapable, but because they were never designed to fit into something so limiting. You may have worked harder than most. You may have followed the rules, but it never truly fulfilled you. There was always a quiet voice asking, "Is this really it?" The truth is, work was never meant to define your worth. Your soul wasn't created just to survive deadlines and pay bills. You were meant to create, to feel, to inspire, to awaken, not just to function. And when that realization hits, it shakes everything. Have you noticed how people around you seem comfortable staying in the same routine, but you feel restless? That's because you're not here to settle, you're here to transcend. And that can feel lonely, but it's also powerful. If you've ever questioned the system, hit the like button right now. And tell me in the comments, when did you first realize you were meant for more than just work? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Sometimes the universe doesn't ask you to leave, it forces you to. Jobs fall apart, opportunities disappear, plans collapse. At first it feels like loss, it feels unfair, but later you realize it was protection. Chosen ones often experience sudden endings that make no logical sense. You might have been doing everything right, yet things still fell apart. But what if those endings weren't punishments, but redirections? The universe has a way of removing what you've outgrown, even if you're still emotionally attached to it. Because your next level cannot be reached while you're still holding onto your past identity. And yes, that process can be painful. But look back for a moment. Think about something you lost that you thought you couldn't live without. Now ask yourself, did it actually make space for something better? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Let's be clear, this isn't about quitting life or avoiding responsibility. This is about stepping into a higher level of awareness. When the universe signals that you're finished with work, it doesn't mean you stop contributing. It means you stop operating from survival mode. You begin to realize that your energy matters more than your effort. That alignment matters more than force. That purpose matters more than pressure. And suddenly, the way you approach everything changes. You may still work, but it won't feel like work anymore. It will feel like expression, creation, flow. And that's the difference between living unconsciously and living in alignment with your soul. People around you might not understand this shift. They may call it unrealistic or irresponsible, but they don't feel what you feel. They don't hear what you hear. This journey is deeply personal, and not everyone is meant to understand it. So ask yourself honestly, What would your life look like if you stopped forcing everything? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're ready to step into this new version of yourself, make sure you're subscribed to Mirror of the Soul, because this is just the beginning of your awakening. There's a strange emptiness that begins to grow inside you, not a painful emptiness, but a quiet detachment. Places that once felt familiar now feel distant. Conversations that once excited you now feel repetitive. Even the people around you, it's like you're there, but not truly there. And that realization can be unsettling. This disconnection is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's actually a sign that something is changing within you. Your inner world is evolving, and your outer world is struggling to keep up. You're no longer resonating with the same frequency, and that creates a natural separation. You might find yourself withdrawing more, needing space, craving silence. Not because you hate people, but because your soul is trying to recalibrate. It's trying to understand who you are becoming without the noise of who you used to be. And yes, it can feel lonely, but this loneliness is sacred. It's not isolation, it's preparation. You're being pulled inward so you can rediscover your true self without external influence. Let's talk about burnout, but not the way the world explains it. Most people think burnout is just exhaustion from working too hard. But for chosen ones, burnout often comes from something deeper, working on things that are no longer aligned with your soul. You didn't just get tired, you got empty. You gave your energy to something that stopped feeding your spirit a long time ago, and eventually your soul said, enough. Burnout in this sense is not your weakness, it's your awakening. It's your inner system shutting down what no longer serves you. It's the universe forcing you to pause because you wouldn't stop on your own. Think about it. How many times did you ignore your intuition? How many times did you push through something that didn't feel right just because you thought you had to? Burnout is what happens when your soul refuses to be ignored any longer. So instead of asking, "Why am I so tired?" try asking, "What am I no longer meant to carry?" Drop your answer in the comments. And if this perspective just shifted something inside you, subscribe to Mirror of the Soul, because we don't just talk about problems here, we uncover their deeper meaning. There are moments in your journey where everything begins to feel different. Time moves strangely. Certain things happen faster. Some connections disappear overnight, while others appear out of nowhere. It's almost like you've stepped into a completely new version of reality. This is what many call a timeline shift. And while it may sound abstract, the experience is very real. You begin to notice patterns, synchronicities, and subtle signs guiding you in ways you can't logically explain. You might think of someone and they suddenly reach out. You might feel strongly about making a decision, and it leads you exactly where you need to be. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations that you're aligned with something higher. But here's the catch. Stepping into a higher timeline often requires letting go of your old one completely, and that can feel uncomfortable, because even if your past wasn't perfect, it was familiar. At some point, the noise becomes too much. Not just external noise, but mental noise, emotional noise, social noise. And suddenly, you crave something you never fully appreciated before: silence. Silence becomes your refuge. Solitude becomes your reset. You begin to realize that clarity doesn't come from doing more, it comes from being still. And in that stillness, you start hearing things you've been ignoring for years: your intuition, your truth, your deeper calling. This is why chosen ones often withdraw during their awakening. It's not antisocial behavior, it's spiritual alignment. You're being guided inward because that's where your answers are. And in those quiet moments, something powerful happens. You begin to understand yourself on a level you never did before. You see your patterns, your wounds, your strengths. You start reconnecting with who you truly are beneath all the conditioning. There's a subtle shift that happens when the universe tells you that your old work is finished. Suddenly, money, the thing that once dictated your choices, no longer drives your decisions in the same way. It's not that you don't need it, it's that you no longer worship it. Before, money felt like a goal, a trophy, a validation of your worth. But now, the energy behind it has changed. You start to realize that chasing money alone never brought satisfaction. It brought temporary relief, distractions, and even stress. And the universe is guiding you toward abundance that doesn't require struggle. You might notice that opportunities appear almost effortlessly, or that resources come from unexpected places. This is the universe rewarding alignment. The moment you stop forcing outcomes, things begin to flow naturally. The key is to trust that abundance isn't just currency, it's energy, connection, and opportunity. Chosen ones often notice that when they release obsession over money, their creativity skyrockets. Ideas flow, doors open, and a sense of freedom emerges that no paycheck could ever provide. It's like stepping into a world where your energy becomes your currency. You've spent years grinding, pushing, and proving yourself. Society tells you that hard work equals success. But now, you feel the universe whispering something different. Flow is greater than force. This shift is subtle at first. You'll notice that when you act from alignment, doors open effortlessly. Tasks that once felt overwhelming now unfold naturally. You are no longer chasing results. You are creating from a place of ease, confidence, and inner knowing. This is the difference between working for life and living through work. The energy changes. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to control everything. Instead, you trust timing, trust intuition, and trust the universe. And paradoxically, you achieve more when you do less. Flow doesn't mean inaction. It means inspired action. It's a rhythm where your purpose, skills, and opportunities harmonize. And chosen ones are always guided into this rhythm once they've outgrown the hustle mentality. When you step away from the old grind, something miraculous happens. Your purpose, once buried under obligation, starts to emerge. It might start as a subtle pull, a project, a calling, a vision that feels almost impossible. But the more you pay attention, the louder it gets. Purpose doesn't arrive like a bright neon sign. It often arrives as whispers, coincidences, and intuition. It is revealed when you are quiet enough to listen, courageous enough to act, and patient enough to trust the timing. Chosen ones often describe this awakening as both exhilarating and terrifying, because purpose is not just about comfort. It demands authenticity, courage, and vulnerability. But the rewards are life-changing: clarity, fulfillment, and a sense of alignment that money, status, or recognition can't provide. Ask yourself, am I living my life according to someone else's expectations, or am I finally listening to my inner calling? Reflect on it. Write it down. Comment below. I'd love to hear how your purpose is speaking to you. And if you're ready to take the leap into your higher path, hit like and subscribe to Mirror of the Soul. Every story shared here reminds you, your awakening is real and you're not alone. When you shift into a higher frequency, your social landscape changes naturally. Relationships that were once essential start to feel out of alignment. Friends, colleagues, even family members may suddenly feel distant. It's not rejection, it's resonance. People often resist this truth, fearing loneliness. But chosen ones understand that energy is magnetic. As you evolve, your connections must evolve too. Some stay, some leave, and both experiences serve a purpose: clarity. The ones who remain are aligned with your new energy, while those who leave help you release attachments that no longer serve your growth. It's a sacred pruning process, even if it feels painful at first. This is why solitude feels so natural during awakening. You begin to value quality over quantity, authenticity over approval, and alignment over comfort. You are creating space for relationships that truly reflect who you are becoming. One of the most profound shifts you'll experience as a chosen one is the subtle peace that arrives when you stop clinging. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means trusting. Trusting the universe, your path, and yourself. You start to realize that holding onto outcomes, old expectations, or past mistakes only drains your energy. When you release them, a lightness emerges, a calm that you've never known before. It's like finally exhaling after years of holding your breath underwater. Many people fear letting go because it feels like losing control. But in truth, letting go is gaining control, control over your mind, your energy, and your destiny. It's choosing alignment over chaos. This inner peace becomes a sanctuary. No longer are you tossed around by external pressures. No longer do you measure your worth by other people's approval or the weight of your accomplishments. You simply exist, and that existence feels profound, powerful, and free. A subtle but unmistakable sign of evolution is no longer needing validation from others. Opinions that once mattered, praise that once fueled you, even criticism that once hurt. You feel them, yes, but they no longer dictate your emotional state. You begin to notice that the people who matter don't need to cheer for you, they simply accept you. And those who try to diminish you, their energy no longer sticks. You've stopped letting the outer world decide your inner reality. This is liberating but also disorienting at first. Friends, coworkers, even family may question your new confidence. But the truth is, chosen ones thrive in self-validation. Your worth is no longer negotiated, it's innate. And when you stop chasing approval, your life becomes quieter, richer, and more focused. You invest in people and projects that genuinely resonate, and your energy multiplies instead of dissipating. Once work and external validation no longer dominate your life, another guide steps forward, your intuition. At first, it may feel subtle, like a quiet nudge or a whisper in your mind. But as you practice listening, it grows louder, clearer, and impossible to ignore. Your intuition begins to show you what opportunities to pursue, who to trust, and which direction aligns with your highest path. Decisions become easier, not because they're simple, but because your inner compass is no longer clouded by fear, doubt, or obligation. Chosen ones often describe this as a sixth sense, an inner radar guiding them towards synchronicities, meaningful connections, and moments of growth. It's like stepping into a river where the current takes you exactly where you need to be, without resistance. The more you trust this compass, the more effortless your life becomes. And paradoxically, the more aligned you are, the more the universe conspires to support you. Your intuition becomes not just guidance, but proof that your awakening is real. Eventually, you reach a point where work no longer feels like a burden, where effort doesn't feel forced, and success doesn't feel like a battle. This is the magic of alignment, the moment where your gifts, passions, and opportunities intersect. You start creating not because you have to, but because you want to. Tasks that once drained you now energize you. Even challenges feel exciting because you approach them from curiosity rather than pressure. Chosen ones describe this state as work becoming play, and it is the ultimate reward for surrendering to your path. The universe no longer asks you to push, it asks you to show up, express, and flow. In this stage, money, recognition, and achievement are no longer goals. They're byproducts of your energy and alignment. You're no longer chasing life. You're living it fully, intentionally, and joyfully. When the old ways of working and striving no longer dominate your life, gratitude becomes your most powerful tool. It's not just saying thank you for the big things, but noticing the small, often overlooked moments. The sunrise, a kind word, a breath of air. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already present. And in that shift, the universe responds. Opportunities, synchronicities, and blessings begin appearing in ways you never could have forced. Chosen ones often find that the more they feel grateful, the more aligned their lives become. Even hardships transform when gratitude is applied. The struggles you once resented suddenly feel like lessons, gifts, or signs guiding you toward your next step. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, it transforms your perception of them. The more you practice it, the more effortless life feels. You start recognizing abundance everywhere, not just in money or success, but in energy, connections, and the very flow of existence itself. One of the most profound lessons for chosen ones is understanding that everything unfolds in divine timing. You may want things now, but the universe has its own rhythm, and once you sync with it, life feels effortless. Synchronicities, chance meetings, and coincidences begin appearing everywhere. These are not accidents, they are confirmations that you are exactly where you need to be. The key is learning to trust these signs instead of forcing outcomes. You may have grown accustomed to urgency, pressure, and deadlines, but awakening teaches patience, presence, and surrender. When you act in alignment with divine timing, your work, relationships, and creative pursuits all flow with less resistance. The universe often tests your faith during this stage. Doors may close unexpectedly, plans may delay, or opportunities may vanish. But these are not failures, are recalibrations to ensure that your next step lands on the right path at the right time. At this stage, the universe isn't just asking you to work, it's asking you to be. Your presence, your energy, and your authenticity now become your greatest contribution. People are drawn not to what you do, but to who you are. Chosen ones realize that influence begins with presence. Your calm, your clarity, your alignment, all of it radiates outward. Every interaction, no matter how small, leaves a mark. Your legacy starts not with accomplishments, but with the impact of your being. When you embody your higher self, you inspire others without trying. Your actions become natural extensions of your energy, and your work flows from purpose, not obligation. The universe amplifies your presence, and doors open in ways you couldn't have orchestrated. Your influence grows silently yet powerfully. The people who need your energy will find you, and those who are not aligned will naturally fall away. This is the natural order of spiritual alignment. Your life becomes your message. Ask yourself, am I showing the world my true self or a version I think it wants? Comment below. And if this resonates, like and subscribe to Mirror of the Soul, because your presence is your greatest power. Finally, after every shift, every lesson, every letting go, the universe sends a quiet but unmistakable confirmation. You are ready. Ready to step into your next level, ready to release the old completely, ready to live fully aligned with your soul. This confirmation may appear as peace, as synchronicity, as clarity in your choices, or simply as a deep knowing. You no longer question whether the universe supports you. It's undeniable. You have been prepared through every ending, every challenge, and every awakening along the way. At this stage, fear loses its grip. You move forward with confidence, not arrogance. You take inspired action, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. And the work you do now doesn't feel like work. It feels like expression, fulfillment, and flow. Chosen ones, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Celebrate it. Share your journey. And know that your life, your path, and your energy are aligned in ways that will ripple far beyond what you can see. Ask yourself, am I ready to fully step into my higher self? Comment below and declare it. And if this message resonates, like, subscribe, and share this video with those who are walking their own awakening journey. Mirror of the Soul is here to guide, inspire, and remind you. You are finished with the old work and ready for everything that is next.